Welcome to another episode of Paranormal CPR. I'm Chuck Parker. We're here with Grandmaster Tom Cameron. Tom, how are you?
Pleasure to meet you.
Finally, after about a year and a half, we get to meet. You're Grandmaster of Shinbi Han's martial arts system?
Right.
Based out of where?
Well, I teach out of Palos Hills.
Oh, okay.
It's a combination of a number of traditional styles of martial art, and I put them together and came up with my new style. When my old teachers kept on saying, "You're not doing our stuff anymore," I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm adding a little of it." Well, that's not.
You're still kind of doing it.
Yeah, I'm still kind of doing it, but because I had added different stuff into it, they're like, "Well, we can't test you for this anymore." I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess I have to go out on my own." So I had to create my own style.
Because you did other systems, though.
Yes, I have a 6th degree in Taekwondo. I've got a 3rd degree in Hapkido and Jiu-Jitsu and a number of other traditional styles. But because I combined all of them together and added pressure points into it, they got very antsy. They were uncomfortable.
Because you're kind of known for your ability to take somebody down rather quickly with pressure points.
Right.
Okay, you did that on various different TV shows and stuff.
We've done it on Ripley's and Steve Harvey and a bunch of others.
I got to just, we were talking right before the show came on, and you were talking about Ripley's. Mm-hmm. And the producers, you said you're going to do what? You got to share with everybody because this is funny to me.
Well, first of all, they gave me the nickname of the human stun gun because when they flew all of my students and me out to, we did the filming at Myrtle Beach, and when they flew us out there, the producer, when we got there, said, "Now, can you really do this stuff?" I'm like, "You flew me out here not knowing." So he's like, "Well, what does it feel like?" I'm like, "Okay."
You want me to show you?
Yeah, and I tapped him, and when we woke him up, he's like, "God, that was like being hit with a stun gun." That's what we'll call it. That's what we'll call it. That's the thing.
So they called it. That was it.
So they called it the human stun gun. But yeah, and then they had paramedics, and they had a doctor that was on the site. Did not tell her what I was going to do, and we're meeting over dinner before they actually do the shoot. And she said, "So what is it you're going to be doing?" I said, "Well, on one student I'll be turning his heart off. On the other student I'll be turning his head off." And she said, "What? What are you talking about?" She had no idea what they had set her up for.
And you're telling this to a producer.
I'm telling it to the doctor that was going to be on the scene.
Oh, that's nice. The doctor.
The doctor. They had hired a doctor that was going to verify what I was doing. She's like, "Well, I can't be here for that. I'll lose my license." And she got all frustrated. I said, "You don't have to do anything. I'll get them back." She was like, "What do you mean you'll get them back? I can't get them back.
I don't want them to go away."
Yeah, very much. Yeah, that's the opinion of a lot of people. Now, you were going to
do this to your own students?
Yes.
Okay, so you're doing it to your own students, which is kind of funny, I think, in itself. "Hey, Bill, guess what we're going to do?
Yes.
I'm going to stop your heart." Okay, master.
We have, over the years, most of my students have been with me for a good long time. And over the years, we've developed a really profound sense of trust amongst each other, like a lot of martial artists in school. So, they will allow me to do that. They do it to me. We don't do any techniques.
So you teach them, obviously, everything you know.
Absolutely. They
not
have
everything.
to learn
95%.
Well,
never teach them that last 5.
Never teach them that last technique.
Don't do it.
No.
You got to have ace in the hole, buddy.
Just in case somebody goes squirrel bait on you. Right. Yes, absolutely.
So anyway, on the Ripley's Believe It or Not, what did you do?
Well, they actually hired a circus strongman to come in because they wanted somebody that wasn't going to be one of my students and perhaps
maybe
a
fake it.
And we never got him on the show, they got him on the show for one of the bumps because he went out too fast. I grabbed hold of him, and he passed out before I actually finished the technique. And we woke him back up, and he's looking into the camera going, "This stuff works." It's like, yeah, that's kind of why they hired me. But they didn't even use that segment on the show because it went by too quick.
Which they should have used.
It
was quick as it may have been.
It was funny. It really was. And Scream, oh my God!
So you knocked a few students out. The doctors did what?
The doctors stood by and turned pale because they actually had one of my students on an EKG, and when I touched him on his arm and put him into cardiac arrest, she just went ape. She's like, "What are you doing? You can't do that." I'm like, let me at him. I'll get him back around, and there's a pressure point on the back that you can use to resuscitate the heart, and you can actually use that for heart attacks as well. And got him back to a normal sinus.
Not to interrupt, but you're saying there's a spot on the back to resuscitate the heart.
Yes.
can anyone do it?
Sure, absolutely.
You have to know the spot.
You have to know the spot.
training.
You have to have the technique, and if I get a chance to come back with some of my students in another segment, I can show you where the spot is, and we can actually show the people on the camera.
Yeah, I want to bring it back because I know that I told you before. It's been like a year and a half since we've been communicating, be it email, MySpace, whatever, and it interests me because as a fellow martial artist, I just really dig this kind of stuff. And even after your students come back again, maybe you can bring some bricks and smash some things up.
We should have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it would be great. Because you're also, what's the death touch?
Well, the death touch is really, a lot of people think it's a movement, and it's not. It's a system of movements. It uses the same acupuncture or acupressure points that an acupuncturist would use or a massage therapist would use. Only rather than creating health, we use it in an alternate way to stop the body systems. There's no organ in the body that we can't turn off using these pressure point systems.
So a death touch is just a different version of, or a different way to do pressure points?
Right. It's the advanced level. In Chinese, it's called dim mak, which translates out to poison hand.
Right.
And it's just a system of movements or a system of techniques based off of the movements in a form that show you where the pressure points are, how to hit them accurately, and as a result, as I said, create all kinds of damage to body systems. You can turn any organ in the body off that you want: heart, lungs, liver, kidney.
Now, can you do it if you're like sparring with somebody? Because I did tournaments for years and years and years. And can you implement those techniques when you're sparring?
Absolutely.
Or does it have to be because I don't know, as much as I trained in black belts and all this other junk I have, I never did that. So it interests me, and I don't know if if I got in close enough, could I touch? Boom.
Absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
Can you do a strike and hit it?
Well, there are strikes, there are grabs, there are rubs. It depends on which pressure point.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of the things that a lot of people really have as a misconception is they think it's great if you have a static student or a cooperative attacker, but you can't use it in sparring. But you actually can, because there are 360 pressure points roughly on the human body, and they're all about the size of a quarter. So if I were to tape 360 quarters on your body, regardless of how you move,
you'll be able to get one.
There's always going to be something. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So it depends on the level of knowledge that you have. Do I know 150 of the points and how to activate them? And you study the ones that are going to be the most likely to attack you. Like you would study most.
Oh, here we go. Go ahead.
No. I'm just saying.
I don't care. Go, Tom. Go.
You would study the ones from the elbow to the fingertips. Because,
which is where? Go ahead, show me.
Oh, there's bunches of them. I mean,
don't hurt me now.
There's one in here, which you can use to control the person.
Don't stop my heart.
There's one in here that you can bend the knees. There's one in here. That one controls the fist. This one controls the wrist.
Look, my hands are sweating. You're hurting me. No.
Could be the lights.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be the lights. So there's always going to be some sort of a pressure point that's going to be close enough to you to be able to activate. You learn both sides of it. You learn how to use it for healing, and you learn how to use it for injury or for self-defense.
Now, are there any counter moves for the techniques?
There are counter moves for all of these techniques. There are people who are going to be more susceptible to it than other people. There are techniques that you can use that are touchless, where you don't have to touch the body, but those are techniques that we don't recommend using for self-defense because they're not effective against everybody. They will affect the person's energy to some degree, not necessarily render them incapacitated enough to keep you safe.
So now, as far as healing goes, are you like a healer? Could you heal?
Not so much. I would not consider myself a healer. What I do is I correct the damage that I put in to begin with. So
no, but if I said to you, like for instance, which is it's true, on my right leg, right up in about the middle here, if you took a pin, okay, and you put it in the skin, it's not going to hurt, unless you pushed hard. But it's very isolated, and I have a feeling like there's an occasion there's like a pin hitting me in the middle of the leg.
Okay.
Right? Now, I don't know, I could have worked out hard the day before, then I'm feeling it for some weird reason. I've done it, whatever I did. I don't know, but maybe it's my age. Something's hitting me because I worked out a certain way.
Well, and also the area that you're describing, it could be something that you ate, because that's the area that's related to the stomach.
By the leg?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the top of the thigh. That could be something that you ate. So it may be a food allergy that you have that you don't realize.
Well, it's always after I do about 10 shots of Patron. You think that has anything to do?
And you can feel anything after that?
No, it's numb.
Oh, okay.
Everything's numb. No, it's kind of weird because I never even told anybody about it, because it's just kind of a sporadic.
Okay.
And it's like, what the heck is that?
Could
I'll be
just
laying
an
in bed and I'll
nerve.
feel a little, almost like a pin is hitting it, and I'm like, what is that?
Could be just an occluded nerve or something of that nature. I mean, one of the things I'm doing to advance myself and my own learning is I'm going to be going back to school to become an acupuncturist.
Oh, cool.
So I figure as long as I already have the knowledge of the acupuncture points, I might as well take advantage of that and go with the healing part of it. I've been doing the damage part for 33 years. Maybe I should spend a little time healing.
So you're also known for like doing a lot of brick breaking. Mm-hmm. All right, most bricks.
14 with my hand, 5 with my head.
Oh, your head. You did the head thing?
I did the head. I'm not allowed to do it anymore because I have an implant from a cataract operation. But
okay. No more head stuff.
No more head stuff.
You still pound them with your fist?
I still do.
Right.
I still do. I did.
Now 14, how thick?
14 2-inch thick slabs.
Each one's 2-inch thick?
Yep.
And the spacers in between?
Spacers in between. And then the biggest one that I ever did was a half ton of ice with an elbow strike.
How do you prepare, or how do you train for something like that?
It varies with the technique. Like the hand technique, you know yourself. You just pound heavy bags or whatever.
So you do a lot of the iron palm training type stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay. Daily, every day you got to pound away.
Same thing with the elbow. Maybe 2-3 months prior to it, you start tapping your elbow, getting it desensitized to the strike area. And little by little, you build up the musculature. By striking it, not only are you working on the area, but you're also working on the musculature that you're going to be using in order to do the technique.
Oh, okay.
So it's just rote. That's I think one of the misconceptions that a lot of the shows that I've done don't really get across is I don't view myself as having any special abilities. I don't view myself as having any special powers or any of the rest of it. It's just I've been in it a lot longer than a lot of people and have learned techniques that some other people just haven't had the instructors to teach them. Anybody can do it. I've had students that have been as young as 10 years old who've knocked me out cold. It's just a matter of learning the right techniques.
Right. And like you said, you've done it a long time.
Yeah.
I told you that my master, Weissen Liao from Oak Park, he used to fly in masters, from China. And I recall I can't obviously remember the guy's name because it's been 30 years, but he brought in this old guy, he must have been 85 years old, and obviously not speaking English, and we had all the students around, and he gets the biggest guy up, and then my master, you stand there, and then you try to kick him. Well, this guy's a young 22-year-old, buck that thinks I'm going to kill this old man. He goes, no, I really don't. He goes, kick him. So he goes to kick him, and he moved as effortlessly as you can even fathom. He just moved like, boom. It was that quick. He hit the guy right by the groin area, right above, boom. And this guy went flying across the room, and you couldn't propel yourself back as far as he went.
Absolutely.
So there's that chi thing going, which, again, this was in the 70s. And at that time, as well as I do, when people would talk, it was more hard-style stuff, and they weren't really discussing chi.
No, not
And when
at
you
all.
said chi, the hard-style systems would be going, there's no chi. I mean, sure, they say ki, and there's this, but the chi, the way you're explaining, it's not the same thing, and there's no way you're going to generate enough energy to do that.
Well, even some of the recognized founders of martial arts here in the United States, guys like Lewis, Joe Lewis, and Superfoot Bill Wallace, they very flatly say there is no such thing as chi. It's just practice, it's repetition, it's technique, and and that's fine. if that's the way that they want to look at it, that's fine.
And you know what? It's their prerogative.
Absolutely.
And again,
Absolutely.
the name of my show is Paranormal CPR.
Right.
So obviously, I believe in a lot of stuff that a lot of people are thinking, well, why would you believe in that? Or maybe they're afraid to believe in that. And like you're saying, Bill Wallace, Superfoot, doesn't believe in chi. Well, he can kick you in the head real quick, and that's fine. Let him not believe that. But that's kind of odd that he wouldn't believe in it because he was such a good martial artist.
Right.
You would think that he'd want to, he mastered this. Why wouldn't he want to go to this level and try to hit that?
Well, but I find that what happens, not only with those guys, but especially with the guys that are in the sports, like the UFC fighters and all the rest of it, they invest so heavily in the physical, they really, in their mind, cannot afford to have the possibility that there might be something else. I mean, they're investing 14, 16 hours a day, their entire lives, in the physical aspects of what martial arts can do for you, and that, you know, that's fine.
That's fine for them.
So their concept is, if they let chi into it, you know, if there's this unknown force that they're not working with, it's dangerous for them. They don't want to acknowledge that that's a possibility, that, you know, some little old guy is going to be able to wipe the floor with them. I mean, even Bruce Lee, as incredible a martial sportsman as he was, and an incredible athlete, you know, when you look at his teacher Yip Man, who looks like a straw with arms, you know, there was nothing to the man, could crush piles and piles of roofing tile. And yet Bruce Lee wanted to believe, well, this is physical, this is mental discipline, this is training the body. He didn't put it seemed a lot of validation into the chi portions of it, because he was investing again in the physical.
Yeah, see, I thought I heard that Bruce Lee did, even though, because he you know, tinkered in different martial arts, of course, before making his own, but because he had a 1-inch punch, he had all that stuff. Now, he might have, see, here's what I think what Bruce Lee did. I'm not channeling him now, by the way.
Okay.
But I'm thinking that Bruce Lee, because he had the 1-inch punch, he was developing the chi to enable him to do the 1-inch punch, knowing that it is physical. He had like a 0% body fat, you know, and he can say it's physical, it's physical, it's physical. And yet, I think deep down, like my instructors, by the way, did that. You know, the Ron Hoffmans and the Dave Michelevs, they were studying Tai Chi and doing more of the mental and the you know, the chi flow and all that stuff prior to opening it up to their students. For years, we were training in Kung Fu and doing all this stuff, and then we showed up one day and there was a big yin yang on the window saying Tai Chi Chuan, and I'm going, is this the same school? What is this? What's this Tai Chi Chuan? Never even heard of it. And then the student, well, this is what it is now, Chuck. This is what we're doing. I've been training for years in this, but now I'm ready to teach it.
Well, you know, now, all great athletes are using chi, whether they call it that or not.
Exactly.
You know, they're still going to be using the chi. One of my teachers, now the teacher that taught me the pressure points is George Dillman, who's just an incredible master of the pressure points and of dim mak and of all of the esoteric aspects of martial arts. He's a genius. He really is.
Is he still around?
He's still around. He teaches in Pennsylvania, and actually he teaches all over the world. He gives seminars twice a year.
Oh, cool.
You know, I go back for my dose.
Good. That's all right.
And his thing is that he started learning about chi from a guy who wasn't even in the martial arts, a guy by the name of Joseph Greenstein, who was a circus strongman. He used to be able to break chains across his chest and tear horseshoes in half and all the rest of this type of stuff. And Greenstein looked at it as being spiritual. He didn't put the word chi on it. He looked at it as being spiritual. But one of the things that he did in his act that shows it had to be chi is he would bring somebody up from the audience and give them the horseshoe and tell them to tear it in half. They couldn't budge it. He'd put his arms around them and touch them actually on the pressure points on the top of the arms. Now they could easily tear the horseshoe in half.
No kidding.
Yes.
By doing what now? What would that do?
All he would do is he'd be touching them, but he'd be generating the
his chi
flow
through him?
Through the person from the audience. Yeah.
Okay.
And now they'd be able to tear the horseshoe or bend the horseshoe in half.
Wow.
You know.
Now my theory on that is, I don't care if you see it. You have to experience it.
Absolutely.
Because if I saw that, knowing what horseshoes are made out of and how strong they are, I'd go, all right, give me the horseshoe. I know I can't do it. Touch me and let me see if I can bend it.
Right.
Right? That's the only, and again, that's getting back into the paranormal realm, being, do you believe in this, this, and this?
Right.
And a lot of people go, no, I don't. And some people say, well, I do. But the ones that don't, because they've never experienced anything.
Right.
And the logical people have a reason why this happened. Or they shut those lights off.
Right.
And the cabinet doors in the kitchen were all closed because I went to bed. And then I wake up and they're all open and the radio's on. And, all right, well, that's something where I must have walked in my sleep.
Right.
It's the logical
right.
part of the brain that says that. Where I say
some rationale.
There's something here.
Yeah, they have to find some rationale for it. But that's.
Have you ever done any of those, by the way?
Done any of what?
Investigations?
I've been along on a couple investigations.
Because I know you said you know Chris Fleming.
Right.
You taught Chris Fleming what?
How to trans-channel.
Now, how'd you do that?
I've been a trans-channel for about 30 years.
Which is what?
Where I go into a deep meditation and allow other types of spiritual beings to speak through. In fact, I did one of Chris's shows. I did one of the famous shows that they did for Nat King Cole.
Yeah. Okay.
And when we were sitting in the audience, the channel that came through me, one of the ones that usually comes through, told them if you need proof, watch the draperies on the stage. We were in the auditorium of the school, and all of a sudden, the only one set of draperies, the set of draperies that he had said were going to, started waving back and forth, and there were drapes on either side, and they were perfectly motionless. He said, and if you think that that's just the breeze, then I'll stop that and I'll watch the lights overhead, and the can lights above the stage started waving back and forth as soon as the drapery started.
Now, because you were there, obviously participating in this, the people that watch it could say, yeah, but see, that's a producer setting stuff up. I mean, I was on an investigation with my psychic, the one I told you I got rid of, and we're in this El Capone bar.
Okay.
And we're sitting there in between, shots and just having a Coke or something and chilling out. And then I see that the lights flickered, right? Mm-hmm. And then I say, which most people would go, there's a loose wire.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I'm sitting there going, no, the camera's on now.
Right.
Because I said, put the camera on here on this.
Right.
I want to screw around here. I said, if there's someone here, when I say flick the lights, flick the lights. Mm-hmm. Now, the only place the light switch was to flick these lights in this restaurant area was on this one wall right where my camera was set up where my camera guy was.
Okay.
There's no other way to flick these lights on.
Okay.
You walk in the door, you flick the lights on. It's not like in another room.
Right.
Nothing. And every time I said that, the lights flickered. Right? My camera guy had the sense to tape and say it while he was taping it, showing his hand. These are the light switches, showing the lights going off and on, and showing their. And then he took a full shot with the light switch and the lights.
Okay.
It was genius. I didn't even think of that. And I think I'm pretty good at this stuff. And every single time I said for the lights to flicker, they flickered. One time they went off for like 5, 6, 7 seconds. And I'm sitting here going, all right, now, someone who would watch this on my show would say, well, then there's a light switch somewhere else.
Right.
And somebody's flicking it. But I know it wasn't that.
Right.
So I did a follow-up, and I talked to the owner of the bar, and I said, have you had the wiring, being that this is an old building? He says, when we bought the restaurant and the bar, we had electrician, by code, they had to do code. Electricians came in and redid the whole entire place.
Okay.
We couldn't get in without permits.
Right.
With the permits. So, again, paranormal activity, all that stuff, unless you witness it, people don't believe it.
Well,
a lot of
absolutely true. Well, I mean, when I've done these shows, I've got some of the clips up on YouTube.
Yeah, what do you have on YouTube? Something on Fox?
I've got
for Fox.
I've got a couple of the ones that were successful, and I did one for Fox that was not so successful.
Like, what did you do for them that was not successful?
Okay, well, let me explain. They had a reporter come out from Fox who does slam pieces, or does pieces, investigative reporting. And she wanted to see if the no-touch stuff worked, and she brought a couple paramedics out with her. And will it work against this person? Will it work against that person? And as I said before, and told her that it only works against a certain number of people, and it doesn't work with people who have high levels of chi to begin with. Whether they call it, just as we were discussing, whether they call it chi or not. If you're a professional athlete, you're working with chi. You're working with the energies of chi.
Right.
So I knocked out some of my own students, and one of my students knocked me out. The paramedics checked us, said, we can't explain it. Yes, these people are going into shock. Yes, they've got all kinds of neurological types of trauma that's going on. She could, as hard as she tried, she could not get them to say, no, this was all fake, or, this is explainable. They had no way of explaining it. We went to a gym where the guys that train with the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu were training, and I couldn't knock the guy out with the touchless knockout. They didn't want me to actually touch the guy or use any pressure points on him because he had it's all phony. It's exactly what I told you it was. It works on some people, it doesn't work on others. She's like, well, try it on me. And of course, what they didn't have on the camera was, she's like, well, you can't hit me too hard, and you can't hit me here, and you can't touch me here, and I've got
restrictions,
and I've got a broken back, and I've got this.
What do you want to hit her for?
Yeah,
What do you want to touch her for?
But I touched her, and she's like, oh, you hit me. It's like, no, ma'am, I touched you. If I hit you, you'd look like that broken brick that I just showed you. But that's the whole idea is, they can make you look like a hero or they can make you look like an idiot depending on the editing.
Exactly.
And, the comments that you get is, if you're successful in doing it, oh, well, the guy was staged. The guy was a shill in the audience for you.
Well,
if it doesn't work, oh, well, see, I told you it didn't work. So,
right.
They go in with the preconceived concept, and then they explain it, just like you were talking about with the paranormal stuff. They explain it according to their own parameters.
Right.
But paranormal is interesting in and of itself, because that's a very cultural thing. The chi thing over in China isn't paranormal at all. It's perfectly normal. It's walking day and night for them. For us, it's weird because it's just not part of our culture. So paranormal always is a funny term because it varies from culture to culture.
Well, I got to tell you, Tom, man, you are an interesting guy. I really do want you to come back. The show's over, so I want you to come back. Maybe bring some students next time.
Absolutely.
And you could knock them around for me. It would be great.
Can I knock you around too?
Oh, jeez. I'm thinking about it,
okay.
but I don't know. It might hurt. Ow! No.
It's been a pleasure.
So, you know what? Come back again in a couple weeks, and we'll get another show going. Thanks for watching. Mr. Tom Cameron.
Thank you.
It was great, Tom.